Hey everybody, how's it going? I hope you're doing well. I'm doing well because today we're talking about movies, and today we are joined by the always festive Jex Russell. How's it going?
Doing great, Darcy. How are you?
I'm doing a lot better now that we have the Dollarama hat and glasses going. It's amazing.
Just on what do you call it? Off the cuff. But
Yeah,
hey,
exactly.
make it work.
We'll do it live. It's amazing. So today we're picking our top three Christmas movies, holiday movies. There's so many great ones out there that you watch, once a year, a few times a year. But these to me are the ones like we need to see. It's not Christmas, it's not the holidays if we don't, watch these on our own with friends, with family, something that makes it special. So before we get to the top three, I figured we might want to do an honorable mention. So I'll give it away to you first to pick, something that didn't quite make the cut.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So an honorable mention for me would be the Arnold Schwarzenegger classic, Jingle All the Way.
Of course.
And I'm gonna be honest, I've only seen it for the first time like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I remember it coming out in '96. It kind of flew over me. I didn't watch it, and then it just never happened until 5 years ago. I was at my parents', it was Christmas, and it was playing on TV, and I watched it. I'm like, this is great. This is fun. And honestly, for me, it's Sinbad that makes it. Like I'll watch anything with that guy. I love Sinbad. So, and you have Phil Hartman in the mix as well. And Arnold is great. You have a small role by James Belushi. It's a great story. It's a great movie, and it caught me by surprise. I'm like, man, I wish I would have watched this. I would have been around 11 when it came out. I'm like, I would have loved it. So, well, better late than never.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
That's the thing about these movies is not that they're bad, but there's like a level of camp that we're willing to accept with all of
yes,
these. It's like we're gonna go along with that. So yeah, that's a good pick. I think I also saw that one probably on TV more recently, something like that. It was
right.
enjoyable. My honorable pick, I think same thing. It's if only if you're of a certain age, certain era, is this kind of meaningful to you. But this is Ernest Saves Christmas classic. Again, don't want to say kids today, but I mean, I don't think Ernest is maintained its popularity, unlike other, these Christmas movies or franchises that keep going and going. But
Mhm.
if you grew up with Ernest, I think, it's just a classic. I think Ernest Scared Stupid is probably the best one. But that's for Halloween. That's not for Christmas. Saves Christmas, just slapstick comedy, just really enjoyable. Not, I don't need to see it all the time, but it's a mention for me. It's a mention for me.
And you know what's funny about that one? That was like early in the franchise. That was his second movie.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
Ernest
yeah.
Goes to Camp, and then boom,
Yeah,
directly into the Christmas time.
Christmas.
Ernest Saves Christmas, and that's not one I've seen as often. I have the same DVD as you, but
Yeah,
it's a fun one. It's like when I watch it, I'm reminded like this is a fun movie.
exactly.
It's a feel good movie,
Yeah,
family friendly.
yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
so my second honorable mention. I mean, I
Sure.
don't know if it counts because
Why
it's
not?
it's a TV special. It's not really a full length movie, but it's
Yeah,
the original Dr. Seuss, How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
of
It-
course that counts. Yeah,
that falls in there, right? It's that's just nostalgia. I remember seeing it as a kid, and
yeah.
now like it started last year. I'm noticing Grinch decorations all over. Like people have huge inflatable Grinches, and I start showing them to my kids, and we'd go like on Grinch hunts. We just go on late night drives and see how many we could count, and so they're curious about the Grinch. So we're starting to show them scenes on online and stuff. But I think soon enough, I'm going to show them the full thing. But I don't know. Again, it's feel good. It's the character's entertaining. The voice by Boris Karloff is amazing, and just that message at the end. It's a fun time. I have strong attachment to that one.
Yeah, and that's one of those ones that's kind of kept going. You had the live action with Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
A few years ago, you had the 3D animated one, which is pretty good. I remember seeing it and being like, it's a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, nothing compares to the original, but it
Yeah.
was pretty enjoyable. Yeah, I liked it a lot.
Nice.
I mean, if we're doing honorable mention, we're just going to keep going, I guess. This is one I haven't seen it super recently. I just like to talk about it because it's one that doesn't get a lot of chitter chatter. It's one of those direct to VHS ones. One Magic Christmas. It's a Walt Disney one. So who do we have in there? We've got Mary Steenburgen. So from Joan of Arcadia, Hope Springs. You have Harry Dean Stanton is in there as well. Plays the
Right.
angel. Yeah. It takes place, when was this done? Mid 80s, I think. So it's very, it's about a down and out family, which when I'm looking at it, I'm like, they're not down and out. They're like everyone we grew up with kind of thing, like very typical 80s. But because of that, you're watching the background, you see the kids with their toys, and you're like, oh, I had that toy. My brother had that, stuff like that.
That's
Um,
great. Yeah.
it's a typical Christmas story, tragedy strikes, and through the magic of Christmas, things are okay again, but it's a little bittersweet. It's probably on Disney Plus, maybe. I'm guessing. I haven't bothered to check.
Yeah.
But yeah, One Magic Christmas. It's an enjoyable one.
I don't think I've ever heard of that one.
Yeah, that's why I like to talk about it. I mean, it's not one of the best ones, but it's a lot of fun. So I like to
Yeah,
bring that one up.
you're
Let's get
schooling
into
me.
let's do the top three now. The third pick for you.
All right. So it's me. I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Go
All
ahead.
right. So I have all of these on physical media and I would have loved to show them, but they're all in storage right now.
Of
And
course, yeah.
I was gonna go out of my way to take them out, but it just didn't pan out. So I
Yeah.
came prepared. I got some printouts. So my number three, the classic Scrooged with
I
Bill
was good.
Murray.
That was maybe one of my picks. Yeah,
Almost made it, eh?
almost. Yeah,
Oh, this is I love well, Bill Murray is one of my favorite comedians, so of
yeah,
course this is gonna make my list. I love everything about this one. It's very meta.
yeah.
Very meta of a movie because you have Bill Murray, he's this snobby TV executive, very mean, just mean to everyone, does not like Christmas, and the network that he works for or that he runs is running a Christmas Carol
Yeah.
on Christmas Day. They're doing like a live action, like live broadcast. They have all these familiar faces make cameos as the actors, and you know, what do you call it? Reality imitating fiction. He gets the visit from the three ghosts, and it's so well done. It's just so well done. Directed by Richard Donner from Superman fame and The
Yeah.
Goonies and all that fun stuff. I love everything about it. His performance. I love the looks of it. I love all the actors involved. Bobcat Goldthwait,
Yeah.
and I love that scene when he gets a visit from I think it's his former boss or something, who's like really like
Oh,
all
the
like
golf. Yeah, the
deteriorated.
golf zombie. Yeah.
Yeah, and he
Yeah.
holds him out the window. Because that was my first impression of the movie. I remember seeing that really young on TV. This was probably in the early 90s. It's like one of the first times it was broadcast, and my sisters were watching, and I saw that scene. And I knew Bill Murray from Ghostbusters, but that scene just like freaked me out. But I thought it was so cool looking. So yeah, this I need to watch this one because it's just so well done.
Yeah.
And I read stories. Apparently, Bill Murray did not have a lot of fun making it. He didn't really get along with Richard Donner, and that kind of stuff always kind of bums me out to hear. Especially when it's a movie you think is just so great. You like to think that everyone had a good time,
Yeah.
but that's not always the case, and you just kind of got to put that aside and enjoy what you enjoy about the final product, right? So
Yeah.
that's what I do with Scrooge.
That's just a classic. Yeah. I was disappointed I didn't pick it. I mean, it's these honorable mentions are more just fun ones to talk about, but I think if we're going, in terms of quality or how much I want to watch them, that's probably my first honorable mention. It's just
Yeah.
Bill Murray doing what he does best, being, so confident and wrong at the same time. Just it's perfect. Yeah. So my number three, took a look, couldn't find the case or the DVD anywhere, but I want to say it's a recent classic, but it's still getting up there in age. It's Elf, the Will Ferrell
Oh,
movie, of course. It's, to me, I kind of want to say like a modern classic. It's like,
yeah.
I forget when it first came out. It's over 2 decades old now, I think. Early
Yeah,
2000s it came out.
2003. Yeah.
Something like that, yeah. Um, but it just captures, like obviously there's references to those classic, the classic Rudolph, stuff like that. But it's just very typical, very standard Christmas story done well. You have kind of that Will Ferrell SNL comedy. I guess similar to Scrooge, the main protagonist is the character who is so confident in their way of looking at the world, but it's totally off from how the world actually operates. So maybe
Yeah.
that's the kind of character I love. Um, it's just, heartwarming. It's enjoyable. It's got lovely performances. I love the scene where he discovers the mall Santa is not the real Santa. So just getting chased by security and they decimate them all. It's just a fun Christmas movie that I like to watch every year.
I need to watch that again. I saw it like I think I've only seen it once when it first hit home video, so it's been a
Yeah,
while. It's very much a blur.
yeah,
And I don't know why. There's no reason I never watched it again. It just hasn't panned out. So I'll have to. I know people love it. I know
yeah,
like that's a movie that people love. I remember like enjoying it. But yeah, I need to make it a point to watch that one again.
yeah. It's a fun one. All right, let's go for your number two.
Number two, man, this is it's so hard to rank these. This could have been my number one, but these are
Yeah,
all kind of interchangeable. This is a childhood favorite of mine, and oh, and I want to say before I go on, I find
yeah.
my picks are all obvious picks. There's no deep cuts here. There's no rarities or anything obscure or
Oh, that's
unusual.
fun.
But these are just, you know what? These are the ones that make me happy. These are the
Yeah,
movies that I could watch over and over again and never get tired of.
yeah.
So they're making the list. And such is the case here for Home Alone.
Home
And you'll
Alone.
notice, even with Scrooge here, I decided to print the
The
French
French
poster.
one, yeah, yeah. Fantôme en fait. What is Home Alone? Maman, j'ai raté
Maman,
l'avion.
j'ai raté
Mom,
l'avion. Yeah.
yeah, I missed the plane.
I missed Mom.
Which
I missed the
I
plane.
think Home Alone is a better title, but
Oh.
sure. Mom, I missed the plane. Okay.
And because he didn't miss the plane, he got
Yeah,
forgotten, he abandoned.
yeah.
Anyway, and you know what, Darcy, I had to break the rules a little bit because you know what, I can't have part one without having part two.
Of course. Yeah.
So these go hand in hand to me, so I'm sticking them both in my number two slot.
All right. Yeah.
It's like one big movie to me. Like I love them both equally. And people will say, "Oh, well, part two is just the same movie all over again," but he's in New
Mhm.
York this time. And yeah, I guess that's somewhat true to a certain degree. But they both have, they both bring something cool to the table, and I love them both. And these just again, this is childhood to me. Like I can remember seeing the first one. I didn't see it in theaters, but I saw it like the next year when it hit home video, and I thought Macaulay Culkin was the coolest. I just thought he was so like this kid is single-handedly protecting his home from these two thugs, and he's so
Yeah.
smart, and he's got micro machines. I have micro machines. I could do this if it happened to me. I couldn't have. I would have. I would have run away screaming. But it's fun. It was like a cool it was like a hero for us kids, because
Yeah.
I was just a young boy when it came out, around that age. It was fun to think like, hey, that would be cool if that happened. And the second one I remember seeing in theaters, loved it. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. It's just fun all around. Everyone involved, like Catherine O'Hara as the mom, you know, and the real stars are the Wet
Of
Bandits, Joe
course. Yeah.
Pesci, Daniel Stern, like Daniel
Yeah.
Stern especially, like he makes me laugh so much. Like the tarantula in the face in the first movie, like it's the thing about all of my picks today is that I can watch them and laugh just as much after 100 viewings than when I first watched it as a kid. Like they're timeless. They just
Yeah.
don't get old. The jokes stay fresh, and I think that's why I like all these movies. And like I said, I didn't have my physical media to show off, but I will show off this. And not this is kind of unusual. Not a lot of people have this.
Oh, that's
This is
amazing.
official Kevin McAllister action figure that I actually got when I was a kid. This came out, I think this has a copyright date of 1991. So yeah, it would have come out in accordance to the home video release of part one.
Yeah.
And there's a button in the back. It hasn't worked in ages, but you press a button
Yeah.
and he would like do a scream. Ah!
What brand is that? That's terrifying.
Yeah. I was trying to look.
Yeah.
I don't really see it. I think it's like Tyco. It just says made in China. I know it's really old. The
Yeah.
a lot of the writing is like faded away, but it
Yeah.
says
Yeah. Yeah.
Home Alone here on the sleeve.
Great.
Yeah. So this is a kind of a weird flex of mine because I've never
Yeah.
met a lot of people that had a Kevin McAllister action figure.
No.
But my bigger flex, and unfortunately I don't
Yeah.
have it with me. It's at my parents' house. I have the Talk Boy from Home Alone 2,
Oh, nice.
the tape recorder. I
Yeah.
got that for a birthday. I think when I was 8. They got me that for my birthday. And dude, I was so disappointed. I was happy. I was
Mhm.
so disappointed because it doesn't do any of the crap that it does in the movie, like the slow motion.
Oh
Like this
no.
this is Peter McAllister,
Yeah.
the father. Couldn't do any of that. It just recorded and that was it. But then I found out if you wanted those features, you had to get the Talk Boy Deluxe. Oh
Oh,
man.
yeah.
Only the rich kids.
Yeah,
So
I
and
mean, well, if you see the house they live in,
like
yeah, of
ex-
course, they can afford the
exactly.
deluxe. Yeah. All right, my number two. I guess unlike you, I'm not a rule breaker, so I just went with one of them, but I did go with. You can't really see it. But this is the disc for Home Alone 2.
Okay. Nice.
I don't know where the case went, but the disc for Home Alone 2. They're both great movies. I love both of them.
Yeah.
I do give the edge to Home Alone 2. I think Tim Curry is great,
Oh,
great villain in that
yes.
movie. Love it. Just all of that. I think I like forget what role you call that character, but the destitute foil for Kevin to kind of empathize with. I do
Oh,
like the old man storyline from the first one more than the bird lady in the second one.
yeah.
But I think I like the stunts more in the second. Just generally, I like the second one, but they're both fantastic movies. So my number two choice will go to Home Alone 2.
Oh,
But oh, and the
Stitches.
score. I don't think either of us brought up the music, but John Williams and the music,
John
it's
Williams.
just like you can just hear a few notes from any of the iconic songs, and you're brought right back to it.
Oh, absolutely. And you mentioned Tim Curry. I forgot. Yeah, I forgot to mention. Like that was my first. That was in my introduction to Tim Curry. Was seeing that movie in theaters in '92. I didn't know who he was, and for years, my sisters and I would refer to him as the Grinch. We didn't know his name, but we called
Yeah,
Tim Curry the Grinch because there's a part where there's like a montage, and Kevin is watching the Grinch, and you see the Grinch with a big smile, and then you see Tim Curry. It switches to him, and he does a similar smile, where like he
yeah,
looks like the Grinch. So yeah, Tim
yeah,
Curry's great. Rob Schneider is also great.
yeah,
Small role, but I like when he tips him with chewing gum.
yeah. That's
It's
great.
yeah, it's hard to pick a favorite. They're both up there,
Mhm.
but I agree with you.
Yeah. Amazing. So now your number one Christmas movie. It's not Christmas without this for you.
All right, man, we're cruising through.
I'm
My
ready.
number one movie. This was a no-brainer. I said they could all kind of flip-flop, but this one is
Yeah.
just I need to watch it, and it's every bit as funny when I watch it now than it was when I first saw it 26 years ago. It's Christmas Vacation, National Lampoon's Christmas
Yes.
Vacation.
Yeah.
In French, it's Le Sapin a des boules,
Mhm.
which translates literally to the tree has balls,
Balls.
which I love that they called it that in French.
Yeah.
And this is actually how I saw it the first time. It was 1998 on TV. It was dubbed in French.
Right.
So the French version kind of has a special place in my heart, but you can't beat the original English version. Again, this is just so funny. I laugh just as much now as I did back then. And what I love about Christmas Vacation is just a series of like vignettes. It's like almost like little sketches put together. Because you think about it and you think of little moments, right? Like the
Yeah.
whole story is good. It's about Clark Griswold, Chevy Chase, just trying to put the perfect Christmas together for all his family and relatives. But it's just all these moments that you always think about. Like to me, I think about him setting up the lights, and struggling to get them to work, or him in the attic. He's trapped in the attic watching old family videos. Or I think of the cat getting electrocuted at Christmas dinner, or the squirrel coming out of the tree. It's all like moments, and they're
Yeah.
all like hilarious. They're all memorable. Like you'll bring up a Christmas Vacation with someone, and they're gonna bring up, oh, remember this moment or remember that moment, and cousin Eddie, which is Randy Quaid,
Mhm.
steals the show. Um, yeah, I don't know what more I can say. I love it. I need to try to watch it every year. And if I miss it, if I don't watch it around Christmas time, I'll watch it in January. I'll watch it in
Yeah.
February. I'll watch it any time of year. I don't even care that it's a Christmas movie. It's one of those feel good movies to me. It just makes me happy. It makes me laugh. It brings the joy. It brings me right back to when I first saw it as a 13-year-old. I saw it like basically a decade after it came out, but it hit all the right boxes. So it had to be my number one.
Yeah. I was just thinking too, another example of the protagonist being so confident and wrong at the same time, just determined to have the best Christmas. And
Yeah.
if you're not coming along with me, it means you must hate me. And just classic movie.
And
Yeah.
his heart is in the right place, but
Yeah.
his execution is not always the best.
Yeah, and I just love that, that closing speech he has at the very end when he's just, ho ho, and he's just had enough of everything.
Yeah.
It's great. There's been times in my life I felt like that. You'd be like, especially when you're trying to decorate, You start the tree, you're thinking it's going to be this great relaxing time, and 5 minutes in, you're like, you know what? Like maybe we don't need a tree. It's fine.
Yeah. It's like, where's this? Where's that? Why aren't these lights coming on? What's,
Yeah,
yeah, it never goes as you plan.
exactly. All right. My number one, where did I put it? Same as you. I can watch this anytime. It's a movie I think about throughout the year. I quote throughout the year. It's just, I mean, I only watch it around this time of year. Um, but it's just great. And that is The Muppets Christmas Carol.
Oh,
This
okay.
this is just again, so this is the Blu-ray that has both the theatrical cut and the extended cut. So they played it in theaters, they cut out a song,
Yeah.
um, which is kind of the story of Ebenezer Scrooge, obviously. So it's a Christmas Carol. So he's saying, that his potential wife. He's saying, oh, I'd like to marry you, but money's more important. And that's kind of, humanizing him and saying, this is how much money has affected his life, but doesn't he still feel bad? So there's a song where they sing to each other saying, I love you, but money's more important. And the song is about her, singing, well, there was a time when that wasn't true. So it's a lovely, I mean, it's a sad song. They cut it out of the theatrical release, but they stuck it back in this one. Um, Again, just talking about physical media, there's so many great extras on here. There's a blooper reel, which I love when the Muppets do the bloopers, because obviously, you can tell when it's a blooper,
Yeah.
but then it's other times they're like, here's a bit, because they're Muppets. So you probably have two or three people, under the camera operating guns or whatever. So it's like, obviously, they had to work together to make this little joke happen or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's just the Muppets, so it's just fun, just classic. The music is great. It was the first Muppets theatrical release done without Jim Henson. He had died, I think, a few years before. So it was
Right.
a Brian Henson movie. And they have a little homage to Jim well throughout the movie. But one, I guess, out of all the Muppets, Jim was the only person that ever did the voice of Rolf the dog.
Mhm.
Otherwise, a lot of the Muppet voices were interchangeable throughout the years. Other people had done Kermit and others. Um, so they do have Rolf in the movie, but he's just there and he doesn't say anything. And I guess that was their way of saying, only Jim can do Rolf.
Wow.
So there's some other bits, um, but it's just a great movie. I think about it all year, quote it all year long. People are like, what are you talking about? Like, oh, it's Muppets Christmas Carol. They look at me and go, what? It's July. What are you talking about? But to me, yeah, it's a great movie. So I think, if you can watch Christmas Vacation, Muppets Christmas Carol,
Oh,
you're setting yourself up for a good holiday. Home Alone 1 and 2.
yeah.
I've never seen any of the others. I know there's other Home Alones, but
Yeah, I stopped after three.
yeah. Yeah, I haven't seen that one, but
Yeah.
yeah. Any other ones kind of come to mind while we were chatting or
Um, let's see. I had like forgotten about Ernest. You brought it up, like, oh yeah, Ernest.
yeah.
That could have been on the list. Um, Trying to think. I thought of one. Oh, I thought of one earlier. Now it's escaped me again. Oh well, Christmas Story. I know has a lot of fans.
Oh yeah.
The Christmas Story. That one. It's funny. I've always had kind of a love-hate relationship with. First saw it as a. They showed it to us in school. Like I was in sixth grade. Did not like it. Did not get it.
Mhm.
Then I watched it again when I was a little older, probably closer to my 20s. I thought it was great. And then I watched it again, like in my mid 20s. Again, it didn't click. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I kind of had like a flip-flop. Maybe if I'd watch it now, I'd like it again. I know they made a recent sequel, like a Christmas Story
Okay.
Christmas, I think it's called,
Mhm.
with like the same actor, all grown up now.
Yeah.
But that's one that came to mind. Um, the Muppets, I haven't seen that since I was a kid, actually. I need to watch that again. I remember nothing from it. I remember Michael Caine.
Yep.
And I love how he
Right.
plays it super straight. It's
Yeah.
like he's in a normal grown-up movie with humans,
Yeah.
but in fact he's with Muppets, but you wouldn't know it because he's playing it super straight. And I
Yeah.
respect that. I love Michael Caine. Uh, Other than that, no, I'm not thinking of any other ones. We mentioned the big ones.
Yeah.
Like these are the
Exactly.
ones that matter.
Exactly. I mean, there's
But I'd
others.
be curious.
People bring up "It's a Wonderful Life." That's too
Oh
long.
yes,
It's too long. It's
yes.
classic. It's a lovely. I like the point, but it's
It's not one I could watch over and over. It's a
no, exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
heavy.
recently, I think it came out last year was The Holdovers in theaters.
Oh, don't
I
know
think
that
it came
one.
out last year. It's if you're into movies like Harold and Maude, The Graduate, kind of movies, of that period, of that ilk. It takes place in the 70s. The production, they add a nice film grain onto it. It's really well
Okay.
done. It's about, it's winter holidays at a private school. So the holdovers are the people, either staff or students, who are left at school over the holidays. And it's one of those found family, maybe we're not so different kind of movies. It's a
Okay.
good one as well. You mentioned Home Alone. I was thinking, I think it came out a few years ago, was Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was rebooted. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
It's
That one. That was
was
enjoyable as well. But maybe not, don't need to see that one every year.
no.
We don't need to bring too much gore into the holidays. Yeah,
No. Yeah, that's a whole other there's a whole other category of Christmas movies. There's the happy family stuff like we talked about, but there's like the horror stuff like Silent Night,
yeah,
Deadly Night. There's one that came out in the 80s.
yeah.
First one came out in 84, then they made a sequel in 87, which is known for that one scene that everybody quotes, Garbage Day.
Yeah.
Which is the one good scene in the movie. And then in recent years, they made one called Krampus, which is
Oh,
actually
yeah,
really well
yeah,
done. I respect that one for using practical effects and not relying solely on CGI. So that was a fun one. PG-13, so it's not too gory,
yeah,
So yeah, yeah, that's a whole other category of
yeah,
Christmas.
exactly. But these are the make you feel good,
Yeah,
the happy ones.
yeah, yeah,
Um, yeah, I don't know about you, but I'm ready to go watch some movies now. Just
yeah,
go
yeah,
home, get a hot chocolate or something,
yeah.
all that. Yeah. I mean, well, I say that it's 9 something in the morning for me, but
Well, it's 1:30 here. Oh, well,
yeah,
on the topic of beverages, before we
yeah,
wrap
yeah,
up,
yeah, yeah.
because I'm shooting this at my office just to have a quiet atmosphere. But before I came
Sure.
here, my wife, she went out to do some groceries, and when she came home, she brought me a carton of eggnog.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel. I don't know how you feel about the nog,
Yeah.
Darcy, but I love the nog. To me, that is Chris. It's not Christmas till I had a nice glass of eggnog.
I it's one of those things once a year. I think I don't like it. So then every year I'll have some. And I'm like, do I like it? You know what? No, this year I tried some and I think maybe I'm turning around on it.
Oh,
Maybe there was a point in my life I had way too much. My
yeah.
body started to reject it. I've had some more this year. It's pretty good. I'm more of a peppermint hot chocolate kind of
Okay, okay.
yeah, one of those.
You're,
But same thing.
you're on the wild side. You're on the wild side, but that's too
Whew,
much for me, man. Okay.
it's all about traditions.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
No, totally.
yeah. Yeah. This is a great feel good video. Love doing it. Um, yeah, I think we're gonna wrap it up there. We've got a great list of movies.
Yeah.
You got some eggnog. It's we're set.
I got a Kevin McAllister doll here.
Yeah,
I mean,
we're good. What more do you need,
I'd be curious to hear from the audience what their picks are because maybe, you
Yeah.
know, it's hard to think about them all on the spot, and then you'll read someone's picture. Oh, right, that's a good one. So let
Yeah.
us know.
Yeah, let us know down below. Thanks for doing that work for me. Like and subscribe, hit the bell icon, all that stuff,
All that stuff.
Start a
Oh.
Ko-fi page, sign up for Patreon. I don't have any, but just sign up for somebody's Patreon,
Yeah.
something like that. But otherwise, thank you so much for joining me, and we'll catch everyone next time.
Yes.